Hey everybody, what's up, man? You know what I'm saying? I had to put the locks on to create you know what I'm saying, and the lock turban or lock fro, whatever you want to call it, you know what I'm saying? Wrap it around, make the locks like a hat. But basically, man, you know, what's happened is YouTube is basically striked my channel. And you know what's funny about it is that this is literally before my warning wears off. See, they had a warning on my channel since for over 2 years that should have expired over 2 years ago. So now, right before the warning expires, my channel gets striked for uploading a little comedy video called Chad's Ranch Dressing. You know, Chad's Ranch Dressing. So, YouTube basically striked it on a little comedy. You know what I mean? Little humorous video. So they striked it. You know, they striked the channel. So, I can't live stream. You know what I'm saying? Can't stream or nothing. You know, that's what happened with YouTube. But man, to make this video, I was planning to do a live stream of the prophecy. You know what I'm saying? Used to make those prophecy videos, and was gonna make basically, hold the prophecy hostage. That's what the stream was gonna be called. But, I'll just go with the route where this video is gonna be hold the prophecy hostage. You know what I'm saying? That's what this will be. And a lot of predictions have come true, man. Everything that's been predicted for some time ago has come to pass, man. And as you can see, man, YouTube is basically started purging people. You know what I'm saying? And I want to say, shout out to shout out to Smash TV, man. Shout out to Scribe. Shout out to all the Black Pill OGs, man. The Black Pill OGs, Scribe, you know what I'm saying? MGTOW Dictionary, JP Hives, man, David Little, you know what I'm saying? And I think Mr. X, there was a lot of homies, man. And of course, myself, whatever. We paved the way, man. What I'm saying, it was all about evolving the black pill and pushing it to where it is today. And I had to update the black pill. It went from black pill where it is black pill 1.0. That's the majority of what people reference is the black pill 1.0. Where it wasn't completed. What I'm saying? There was a lot of still residue from the red pill in the black pill community. Then a guy like me came in. Shout out to Smash TV. When it was MGTOW Dictionary, they let me on. You know what I'm saying? They let me on one of those black pill streams. And you know what I'm saying? While being on there, I started understanding, that, the content. And I started understanding that, yeah, man, the content I was making, it wasn't, red pilled. It wasn't MGTOW. It was really the black pill without knowing I was doing black pill, content. And had to update the black pill. A lot of people reference the most outdated version of the black pill, which is black pill 1.0, where you'll hear looks, money, status, you know what I'm saying? Which is, if the black pill is all about math and accuracy and, absolute solutions and, there's no room for emotion, then I had to update it to what it truly is, which is looks, status, money. You know what I'm saying? Because it has to be based on how women interact with men. You know what I'm saying? It has to be based on from the easiest level of interaction, which is looks. You know, a woman could randomly bump into a man based on his looks. Then the status, which could be that man could literally be her manager, a high standing, and, guy with some following, guy with status in the community, the town. You know what I'm saying? Then the money is where, it gets a lot, harder for the women to interact with because unlike looks, status, which are easy to interact with, money can determine without a shadow of a doubt the type of women they want to interact with. Money chooses. You know what I'm saying? Money makes choices of the women money wants to interact with. You know what I'm saying? So you would see that scenario where, you know what I mean, that's the true order. And I updated that years over, damn, what is it now? Over 4 years ago, updated the Black Pill to Black Pill 2.0. Right now, we're on Black Pill 5.0. You know what I'm saying? I haven't made a lot of Black Pill content because of how, when it comes to the Black Pill, I've been saying this for quite some time. There's a lot of, infiltration in the Black Pill community and a lot of, false black, there's a lot of gray pillars out there, dark gray pillars, to keep it short explanation wise. A gray pillar is someone that has obtained Black Pill knowledge, but can't fully accept it. You know what I'm saying? They can't fully accept it, so they'll take certain aspects of the Black Pill because once someone's exposed to the Black Pill community, man, there's really no going back. You can't go back to just go to the gym, bro. You know what I'm saying? You can't go back to just go to the gym, bro. You can't that ain't gonna work in your mind anymore. That's why when a lot of red pillars came to Smash TV, when they came on there, once they got exposed, and a lot of red pillars came to the Black Pill community trying to obtain new consumers. You know what I'm saying? They were trying to obtain new consumers to buy their dating products and all that stuff. And the dating coach stuff has died out. What is it? I think the dating coach situation died out over 3 years ago. It died, rightfully so, whatever. But PUAs are basically, gone extinct. PUAs have gone with the dinosaurs, but a lot of PUAs came onto Black Pill streams because they were desperate for new consumers. You know what I'm saying? The problem with the red pill being so oversaturated is that every one of them, when they interacted with one another, they were all sellers. They were all sellers selling the same red pill BS, man. Red pill scam. You know what I'm saying? So they didn't have any new consumers over there. So they came to the Black Pill sector hoping they could get some new people to buy their programs, you know what I'm saying, buy their programs and, buy their whole PUA systems and all that dating crap, but it didn't work out because what happened to red pillars, when a red pillar interacts with a Black Pill, and, you know what I'm saying, shout out to Scribe and, Scribe and MD, MGTOW Dictionary. When they would interact with a Black pillar, the information exposed to them was mathematical and undeniable. You know what I'm saying? You can't deny that, a man's height, the effect. You can't teach height. Shout out to MD, man. Yeah. Oh, that was funny, man. I remember when MD said that. You can't teach height, You know what I'm saying? They can't deny that. Then they can't teach a man how to look attractive. You know what I'm saying? Even though there's some aspects of the Black Pill, which I'll touch into, that shows you shows you the infiltration. You know what I'm saying? The Black Pill has been infiltrated since day one. It was infiltrated. You know what I'm saying? It was a guy like me that arrived and found out the gray pill. You know what I'm saying? A lot of black pillars, like I said, the black pillars, a lot of it originates from red pill knowledge. You know what I'm saying? So you would see black pillars say, okay, there was you got the blue pill, the red pill, then you have, the purple pill, which are red pillars getting married, whatever, still thinking they could do something. And then you got the black pill, but what was missing that I found out was the gray pill, because what's between the red pill and the black pill? You know what I'm saying? There has to be a gray pill, man. There has to be, you know what I'm saying? And then while on a stream, I'm not going to say any names, but while on a stream, I saw a gray pillar amongst us, you know what I'm saying? A lot of black pill homies were giving them information on life, giving them the solutions, but this is the gray pill. Even though a gray pillar understands, they'll say, I understand, I know this is right, this and that, but I still want to pursue things from love and emotion. So a gray pillar is someone with the black pill knowledge that refuses to accept it and live by it completely. You know what I'm saying? That's what the gray pillar would be. And the other thing is the gray pill isn't even all, because the other thing I discovered while looking at the black pill, studying it, trying to understand it, to where I started the philosophy, which is the study of trying to understand the man's perspective, the straight male's perspective in society with the pills, trying to basically diagnose, that's a red pillar, that's a blue pillar, that's a purple pillar, you know what I'm saying? And the gray pillar, the black pillar, whatever, the goal was to basically, with the philosophy, which I started, is you can basically look at a man, and by his lifestyle, you can basically pinpoint the pill he lives by. You know what I'm saying? If he's a yellow pillar, which is someone who was exposed to the red pill and absolutely got terrified, you know what I'm saying? Where all the laws, they live in fear. But I don't want to go too deep into that. There should be a video on the channel if YouTube didn't delete it, the philosophy, all the pills or whatever. So if YouTube ain't deleted, because YouTube's been deleting all my content. They deleted the Casper Pill 2.0, one of my most important videos I've ever made. And YouTube striked it. I'll see if I can appeal, but it won't even matter. I'll explain to you why appealing on YouTube doesn't even matter anymore. YouTube wants everyone out. And, I predicted this a while ago, This is why this is hold the prophecy hostage, you know what I'm saying? This, because a lot of the predictions are coming true, man. We're living, we're living in the time where the predictions are coming true, man. They're coming to pass, you know what I'm saying? They're coming to pass. So, a lot of things are happening, as predicted, But to get back to it, the black pill since day one has been infiltrated, But the problem with the black pill community is because it was so infiltrated that the whole goal became of the black pill, from what I saw, was just being able to say we're black pilled. We're not like these red pillars, was all that mattered. You know what I'm saying? So black pillars were not looking amongst themselves and saying, wait a minute, that ain't black pilled, man. If we're all about the math, the solutions, and, zero emotion is just all fact-based, then we have no room for emotional discord. But the problem is that not only wasn't anyone willing to identify and say, wait a minute, you're not black pilled. And it somewhat happened where you had doomers, you know what I'm saying? The black pill is orbited by a lot. Unlike the red pill, which the red pill isn't as orbited, the red pill's orbited by PUAs, there's a lot of scammers in the red pill, you know what I'm saying? False traditional man. What is it? There's a channel they found out the guy wifed up a woman with 3 kids and he's raising them, and some lesbian basically exposed them. You know what I'm saying? I forget the name of the channel, y'all could find the channel. It's making its rounds throughout the manosphere, you know what I'm saying? It's making its rounds, you know. And the thing is, the red pill, you had SYBN, save yourself, black man. There's some aspects that are orbiting, the red pill community or transcending it or before it. But the red pill is a lot easier to pinpoint who's who, you know what I'm saying? But what was happening with the black pill, was that, a lot of guys weren't looking at it and saying, wait a minute. Some were saying that, you're a doomer. You know what I'm saying? The doomers orbit the black pill, it's all about a perspective of being doomed and you know what I'm saying, the doomer or whatever, you know. Then there was around the black pill, you had doomers. And then, like I said, when I came in, you know what I'm saying, I did some studying, looking at the community, trying to understand it completely. And I started seeing, there was a lot of guys so-called claiming black pill that were what I discovered the dark gray pill. The dark gray pill is when somebody internalizes the black pill, the truth of the black pill, and finds it, at a point where it's absolutely has led them to the point where they don't want to live, or they want to basically harm themselves. They want to they end up having a very self-destructive nature because they can't accept it. They can't accept that none of this stuff is gonna change. The black pill truth, basically, in hearing it and understanding it, it basically corrupted them, man. You know what I'm saying? They can't accept it, and they now see the black pill as a very reason that, you know what I'm saying, that they should push themselves. They kind of find themselves in a situation where they want to overcome the black pill, They want to overcome the black pill or absolutely deny it and use it as a fuel to destroy themselves. I was on a stream and, I won't say no names. I'll just, I'll leave it alone. It ain't worth it, whatever. But I was on a stream once, and a guy claiming a black pill said, well, if you have a woman, you should do everything to keep her. Basically he was suggesting that, yeah, if you get a woman, you should do everything, whether it's bone lengthening surgery, plastic surgery, you should do everything, because one of the curses of the black pill that happened is you have something called looks theory, you know what I'm saying, where guys, are looking at each other and saying your bone structure, bone density, and how it affects your interactions with women, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of guys got too involved into that, because when you really look at the black pill and break it all down, when you look at society we live in and you go on an absolute trail of truth, you analyze everything, you realize that your looks can only take you so far, and your looks cannot maintain stability. Your looks do not determine whether you can maintain something, because we know men who have been divorced that were so-called giga chads, you know what I'm saying, that were, Tyrones, you know what I'm saying, Supreme Tyrones, they never gave Tyrones a greater name. Maybe, as you got Giga Chad, maybe there was a Supreme Tyrone, you know what I'm saying? A Super Tyrone or whatever, you know what I'm saying? We know a lot of those guys. Look up Jake Cutler, divorced. we have the information of how many men. Your looks do not determine whether you keep your stability, you keep your relationship with a woman in the West, because, I've been doing content before I was in the black pill community, before I became, you know, one of the OGs, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to Scribe, shout out to JP Hives, shout out to David Little, shout out to MD, and the old, when we were doing those streams before we got involved, before I got involved, I was breaking it down that, yo man, none of this matters. Your looks don't matter when your looks in this society does not put you above the government. The government has absolute authority. We are in an anti-male stability, male limitation society where by birth you are limited to forever be below the governing body because you are man. You know what I'm saying? Men don't have authority in the West no more, and they've stripped men of all authority. They've demonized everything a man does. You know what I'm saying? They've destroyed all the words that a man has. Think about it. A man can't say, I have pride in my work anymore. You got pride, huh? You know what I'm saying? They took out the word, what is it? They even removed the word grooming, because I think fathers used to groom their sons to be, future husbands and all that. They would groom their daughters to be, future wives and all that stuff. They've demonized any type of wording that leads back to male authority. You know what I'm saying? They've even demonized the position, and you see this in a lot of red pillars who so-called claim to be men, but a lot of red pillars and and the guys that are, like I said, infiltrators in the black pill, which are gray pillars and dark gray pillars, doomers, and I've created some other terms that I identified. I call it the ender cell, ender cell, or the asteroid pillar, guys that are basically hoping for the end of all mankind. They want the end because there's a lot of guys out there that have, like I said, exposed to the black pill, the truth that you can't change your height, you can't fully change your appearance. And the other thing, you go deeper with the black pill 5.0, you understand that none of this matters. You have no authority. You being a man does not mean anything. You know what I'm saying? Your manhood don't mean nothing. The government has deemed everything about you being a heterosexual male as abusive. It's funny how when mansplaining came out in the 2010s, they would say, oh, you're mansplaining. Even though all the doctors, all the people that discovered medicine and how to take care of the women were men. You know what I'm saying? But they're you can't mansplain is funny. Mansplaining is wrong. The whole society is built on men, by men. But you'd be mansplaining. This is what happens when the government is far above the meaning of man. This is when the government has deemed, like I used to tell guys when Kevin Samuels was scamming men, telling them, you're a high value man. No such thing as a high value man in a society where by birth of being male, you're a target. You know what I'm saying? You're let me see this joint. Yeah, you're a target by birth of being a male. By being a male, being born a man, you're a target. Once the government interfered, no fault divorce, the voting rights, equalizing them, making the male voting worthless by saying, the women don't even gotta do nothing and still have your same rights, man. You know what I'm saying? It made the men worthless, man. That's why, when I was making black pill content going deep, you know what I'm saying, going to a level that scared other men, you realize things and you start understanding that by birth, like for example, you're born here, you're emasculated on birth. When you're born in a soil, in a location where they've deemed that what men do, to maintain the society and all that, the women don't gotta do nothing to have all the same rights so they could utilize the women to filter out the male authority. You know what I'm saying? That's why when the female vote was given, there is no requirement to meet any of the standards the men bring, such as building a society, defending the society. They don't need to do nothing. The government just needs them to filter out the male vote. You know what I'm saying? That's all that it was needed. This is why you hear all these guys saying, "Oh, we could fix the government." You know what I mean? We could fix the government. You know, you would hear all this. We could fix the government and all that. How can you fix the government when the very process of electing and voting is broken? You know what I'm saying? It's absolutely broken. You know what I'm saying? If the men are these people. Yeah. So the thing is this, man, by virtue of women having the same voting rights as the men without any of the responsibility, there's no way you can fix that government because you always have to, as a man, emasculate yourself to get the female vote. You know what I'm saying? That's how it works. You must emasculate yourself to get the female vote rather than you team up with the men, the logical men that are responsible for the society to actually fix it. You know what I'm saying? Actually keep it in order. Instead, instead of you as a man running for election where you're like, all I need is the male vote. I just need to be honest. I need to have all the virtues that, my fellow men will look into because they'll make sure I meet those virtues. And if I betray them, my life could be on the line. You know what I'm saying? So that's no longer a process. Now, as a man, you have to emasculate yourself for the female vote. Well, what will you do for the female approval? You know what I'm saying? So, voting and all that stuff, running for politicians in office, you're going to have to emasculate yourself because it's no longer about, just getting the male vote and meeting the moral standards, honor, whatever it is. No, you got to meet the emotional response of the females in that, civilization. You know what I'm saying? You got to meet the emotional response. So by virtue of you must meet emotional responses over absolute logical responses, it's already corrupted, we've seen politicians where they lost because, oh man, they made some women feel bad, and it was done. You know what I'm saying? So by that virtue, the office and the government and all that stuff, it's already corrupted. You know what I mean? Because you can't just run off of honesty and morality and all this stuff. You have to run with an emasculated standpoint, for you to win something, because they'll even prop up the female politicians and say they did the same thing as men. You know what I'm saying? They face the same troubles. Yeah. Right. You know what I'm saying? Right. They, the female soldiers lifted the same amount as the male soldiers, But, we get that. But to get back to the black pill and all that, you know what I'm saying? What's going on is that, man, the predictions are coming true. There's if I would have done the live stream, I would have been able to show you there's a guy that's come out I think it's called Caliver or something like that. Caliver or whatever. There's a guy now pushing men to, you know what I'm saying? And pushing men to basically go get bone lengthening surgery. And he's 6'2". He wants to get bone lengthening surgery. He's basically pushing men to he's trying to get surgery. He's trying to get paid $32,000 to get I think a metal plate on his bones to give him some type of cheek or something some type of look that will be metal plated on himself, You know what I mean? So they're pushing that. He's pushing that. He's even pushing that he uses meth to maintain his fitness, whatever. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, I got in trouble with this where I said closet. And you could watch that guy's Caliver's streams and videos. You could clearly see this is not a heterosexual male. You know what I'm saying? This is a closeted man. And they've pushed him with, some other big streamers have pushed him because of, you know, I pushed this further. There was, we all know industry plants. I'm the one who started the industry garden. You know what I'm saying? What happens when you get a lot of industry plants together? You get a garden. You know what I'm saying? But then shout out to the homie Kalala. He pushed it even further than me with the garden. He went, yo, there's a field. There's an industry field. There's you know what I'm saying? I said there's a closet plant, there's a closet garden where they get all these closeted creators together. And then he pushed it with closet field. You know what I'm saying? So what's happening is this, and I predicted this. I told guys this damn near over 4 or 5 years ago that, with what's going to happen, maybe over 3 years ago, what's happening with the closeted, content is that they don't need men anymore. You know what I'm saying? And I pushed the theory I called the minimum population theory, right? I coined it, I call it the minimum population theory. And I even had a live stream where we did the math. We did the math where if to figure out if the birth rates and population is accurate, is it reaching its potential? And we found that the country, America, is missing potentially 300 to about 400 million citizens, But here's my theory to go further is that I think this is all set up to reach the minimum population. You know what I'm saying? Because you got to look at 1920 with the female vote. You got to look at the 1800s. I think it was 1870 when they made polygamy illegal. You know what I'm saying? They forced monogamy and they made prostitution illegal, I think around 1890 or whatever, or 1910. I don't fully remember. You got ChatGPT, you got the internet, you got Grok, you have AI to look up what I'm talking about, But I think all these laws were passed to reach the minimum population, to limit the population growth. So they had to, for example, they removed polygamy so men can't be polygamous and actually, grow their family even greater, reach their potential. There are some men that, like I said, there's many men that having one wife ain't enough. And another thing is some men, there's peak timing, where a man's like, man, I gotta have 3 kids now. You know what I'm saying? I gotta have my 3 kids. I need 4 to 5 now. You know what I'm saying? A man is at his, peak of interest in having children and being a father. But because polygamy is illegal, he can't do that. You have to have one woman has a child. You wait. You wait in 9 months. She has the child. Then you're going to wait another year before you attempt to have another child. That's waiting. But if a man could be polygamous, he could have all those children in one shot. You know what I'm saying? He could have 3 women impregnated and have all the children he ever wanted. And the great thing about polygamy is that more women get to experience being mothers. You know what I'm saying? Something they only get a certain amount of time to experience being mothers. You know what I'm saying? So with polygamy, a man would still reach his limit. If a man wants 5 children, you know what I'm saying? He could have 5 children with potentially about 3 to 5 women if he wants at a time. You know what I'm saying? And what happens is the man reaches his goal of having 5 children. And instead of it being, oh man, that's every 1 to 2 years you have a child, and you risk that first woman, having more children, you risk her, what I'm saying, potential having, side effects and, what I'm saying, potential risks to her health or something like that. And having multiple women impregnated at once to have start a family, the man reaches the number of children he wants while he's at the peak interest of starting a family. Because if you look at starting a family through monogamy, it actually derails what the man wants to do because of that timing. You got to keep waiting. You might have a whole plan, what I'm saying, for 5 to 9 children right then and there. That's what you want to have right then and there versus having 5 to 9 children in the next 4 to 5 years where the woman is aging and, the children being born, as she get older, they're not going to have the same batch of healthiness, what I'm saying, when it comes to being born. And the thing is, the truth is more women live than men, by natural, by virtue, the women not going to war, jobs they're not, committed to. So there'll be more women. And how do you satisfy having more women, experience motherhood without polygamy? You know what I'm saying? We have we got corrupted polygamy right now. Corrupted polygamy is what we have now where, the men and women, they legally can't have it. So what you have is a bunch of single mothers running around, which is more of a destructive form of polygamy where for a man to experience being polygamous, he has to just have a lot of children with random women that he can't put under one roof. You know what I'm saying? That's the corrupted form of polygamy you face in this society. You know what I'm saying? This forcefully monogamous society. You know what I mean? But let's get back to the caliber thing, and why a lot of predictions are coming true is that years ago I told guys they're gonna be promoting closeted activity, and I did a video series which was a strike called The Closet Conspiracy, where I broke it down that all these YouTubers, all these content creators, all of them, you know what I'm saying? All of them that have made it, look up I Show Speed's profile photo. Look up his profile photo, man, on YouTube. I do a joke about Chad's Ranch, where women are trying to get Chad's Ranch. I get a strike, but I Show Speed literally has his profile pic as him giving, swallowing a microphone, like giving it a blowjob. You know what I'm saying? But that's perfectly safe because, for YouTube in the closet field, this is perfectly nothing wrong with that. After all, this is what they want. They want to maintain push that minimum population theory of we don't need that. They don't want that many heterosexual men anyway, But what's happening, let's go to this Caliver guy. The Caliver guy is pushing, what's happened now is that they know a lot of men aren't getting married anymore. A lot of men are, have been feminized by not having fathers around. So a lot of men are worried about things that a normal man wouldn't be worrying about. You know what I'm saying? Getting, getting all muscled up and, facial surgery, reconstruction, facial reconstruction, bone lengthening surgery. Basically, they're pushing all the scenarios of that's feminized men because one thing the corporations have done, Hollywood, the government, they stripped manhood from television. They stripped manhood from entertainment. It's no longer about morality, working hard and, being a stand-up guy and doing this. No, they've stripped men. They've peeled the onion of a man and to turn a man to he's gonna look this part, he's gonna look like this part, he's gonna behave like this part, the bad boy and all the artificial behavior patterns that Hollywood has created to deem as the natural thing. Cause I used to tell guys on a live stream about the bad boy where I told them, yo, the bad boy is artificially created. You know what I'm saying? The whole situation's artificially created because the fathers, even right now, you see the red pill, which is absolutely government propaganda from the 1950s, the red pill communities, government propaganda, the nuclear family, the anti-extended family. The red pill is nothing more than government propaganda disguised as men pursuing freedom and authority when the whole perspective of how they want you to live is 1950s government propaganda. You know what I mean? Or earlier. It's government propaganda, the whole red pill, the nuclear family scam and all that other BS, you know what I'm saying? But what's happened is you know what I'm saying, with how they've emasculated men is that they stripped fathers of authority. It was never, and the red pill pushes this BS that the women made the choice, hypergamy, the women made the choice in hypergamy. No, the fathers would be grooming their daughters to be future wives and all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? The fathers would decide who their daughters would be. Even this so-called what they like to call in the red pill hypergamy. Or the women will choose the man who makes the most. Yeah, the fathers would. If a father's only value and perspective was to basically, utilize his daughter to make more money, he would try to wife her off or put her in a relationship with a young man or a man who's making a certain level of money so he can raise his family standing. You know what I'm saying? That's really, when you watch the red pill and they push the women have been hypergamous, because the red pill is confused, man. The red pill is nothing more than it's a mixture of 1950s government propaganda, and it's a mixture of potentially 1960s or no 1970s to 1980s propaganda, and lifestyle that push feminism as a way. Fathers shouldn't decide who their daughters are with. They shouldn't be grooming or teaching their daughters to be wives. A lot of the red pill is a mixture of 1950s propaganda when it comes to the men, what the men should be looking for, the nuclear family, the household, and all that. You know what I'm saying? And here's the thing about that. If you think about it, they're pushing 1950s propaganda, and they're also promoting all the anti-male freedoms that were legally removed and maintained, unavailable, such as polygamy, such as legalized prostitution. You know what I'm saying? Such as I think the gun ownership. They're pushing that, but when it comes to the women, the red pillars push. Probably, I mean, y'all could probably add to it, but the red pillars push probably 1980s feminism. Where they push all the women chose everything. The women choose the men they're with, choose the boy they date, and all this stuff. So they're pushing potentially 1980s propaganda or late 70s propaganda when it comes to the women and their choices versus the truth that built this whole country was that the fathers made the choice. The father's authority was absolute. The father decided. The daughter had to, if the daughter was allowed to, she had to have the right boy come to the house. And it wasn't just asking her father for her hand. No, in marriage, no, it was the father had to approve who the daughter could actually see, or if the daughter could date, or anything like that. The father made those approvals, and since the father's word was law, the mother enforced those laws of the father. You know what I'm saying? The laws of the father on the household. You know what I'm saying? I keep trying to look at it to make sure thing ain't messed up, you know what I mean? But yeah, the father enforced the mother enforced all the rules and laws written by the father. It was not the other way around. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't that path, So a lot of these red pillars basically push a combination of 1950s tradition on the men. Then they push the narrative of the 1980s or late 70s on the women with how they talk. Oh, a woman makes a choice, makes this choice, that choice, this choice. All their talking points are stripping of the male authority. The father made every decision. The father decided when his daughter could start dating. You know what I'm saying? Or if she would ever start dating. That's if the father then arranged her to be married at a certain age. You know what I'm saying? Let's just say age 18, he would arrange she's married. You know what I'm saying? She gets married, and the thing is, I could go deeper into it, but dating and all that crap, marriage, it's very simple. It's very simplified. Marriage is not as they point out, with this Hollywood perspective of drama and dating and all. It's all simplified, but when the men have no authority, the government and corporations know they can enforce that drama on a relationship. If the men can't tell the women nothing to do, the men have no authority, and by virtue of the men even saying anything, it's pushed that the men are basically forcing their will on the women, or holding them hostage, or what I'm saying, what is it, mansplaining, forcing themselves, abusive. When you're in a society where a man's opinion is on with a woman is deemed abuse, unless he's a doctor, unless he's a doctor, unless he's a cop, unless he's part of the government authority, anything a regular male does is deemed you know what I'm saying, is deemed abuse. So what's happened is, in deeming what regular men do is abuse. Give me a sec. Yeah, and deeming what regular men do is abuse. You know what I'm saying? Everything's been thrown out of the water, because now all relationships, dating and so on, are built around female emotion as the authority of the relationship. This is why, what I'm saying, you got Chads failing, you got Giga Chads failing, you got Tyrones, what I'm saying, maybe a better word, Tyrone Max, what I'm saying. You got Tyrone's failing. You got guys that reach the limit of, what is it, 6 foot, 6'6", all the sixes, whatever. You know what I'm saying? And they still fail because we're not in a society where male authority can lead. We're in a society where female emotion leads, and female emotion basically gives a man allowance. You know what I'm saying? Allowance. If you look at a lot of modern dating and relationships, when you look at the stability, it's because the woman allows the man to lead. And that's what they're pushing now, allowance. You know what I'm saying? Allowance. The man is under the woman's supervision, and how she allows him to experience their relationship will determine whether it's stable or to the point where it must be leading to separation. Because men in this society live and have relationships based on allowance, because the men legally can't lead a relationship anymore. Male authority has been deemed abuse. You know what I'm saying? Male authority has been deemed abuse. You know what I'm saying? So when male authority is deemed abuse, what you think's gonna happen with a female authority? Give me a second. Oh man, fucking, my back has been killing me, man. You know what I'm saying? Over some stuff. Give me a second. Man, I think I really gotta fucking buy a new gotta buy me a new mattress, man. You know what I'm saying? Give me a second. I had to comb the beard a little, you know what I'm saying? But basically, the men are living in allowance. And like I said, to get back to my predictions, that's coming true is that I predicted and told guys the warning that they were going to basically push men. The men they were going to push were all in the closet. You know what I'm saying? The portable closet. You know what I'm saying? Portable closet. In case you need to be re-educated, what is the closet? What is the closet? Well, the closet is a male that does basically acts in a homosexual way, but doesn't claim it. You know what I'm saying? Doesn't claim it. You know what I'm saying? They will do things that are clearly homosexual, but they won't claim it. You know what I'm saying? They will not claim they are homosexual. And the portable closet is when a guy travels with that. You know what I'm saying? Travels with the closeted approach wherever he goes. You know what I'm saying? It's not just at home like a closet. You know, a closet at home is you go to some guy's house and or a stationary location and he's closeted. You know what I'm saying? But the portable closet is what we have now. And what they've done with this Caliver situation, as you could see, he was with a top streamer, you know what I'm saying? I was even gonna show y'all Neon, shout out to the homie, Kalala, who showed me some Neon video. Neon, there's a video of him dating, what the hell's her name? That rapper that used to date Nick Young from Australia. I forget her damn name, but there's a photo of her and video of her kissing, dancing on Neon. Then the next few videos, Neon is doing an invasion skit where he gets humped by men. You know what I'm saying? What's happened is with the closet and how you see this Caliver thing is that they've pushed a feminized approach of men, bodybuilding. There's a lot of activity that's done with feminizing men and basically having those men peacock, walk around like, look at me, you know what I'm saying? Like a woman, you know what I'm saying? They walk around, wear this clothing, or they're all about body dysmorphia, pushing their body as the main form of attraction to attract themselves to other people, women, and all that. So we live in a very effeminized male society. Once the government has decided, the government backed by the corporations, backed by the religion has decided, the men are not greater than the government, not greater than the corporations and so on. You have the emasculated male. And what's been going on with YouTube and everything, they've been pushing this narrative. You're telling me PewDiePie, a guy from Sweden, he ends up having the highest subs. When has Sweden been the most popular place in American history? When has anyone in Sweden been so popular that the whole world, they're the most popular thing ever? Never. You know what I'm saying? Then they got Ninja. They have, what is it? Ninja. They got, your Penguin Zeros. You know what I'm saying? Penguin Zero, what did he do? You know what I'm saying? Who had an interview with, what the hell's the name of that guy? Sneeko. Sneeko, who's now denouncing, claiming the red pill is dead. I did a stream on the red pill is dead. It was over 11 hours, potentially over 4 years ago, but, YouTube blocked that. But Sneeko, it's perfectly okay for Sneeko to say that because Sneeko pushes what they want. You know what I'm saying? He's the one that was pushing the minor chasing, being with minors and all that stuff, right? You know what I mean? The why that should be right and all that stuff, Then you got Penguin Zero, who said, you know what? Parents should be able to sex change their children. And Penguin Zero, what he's done, I think it was this month or last month, what he's been doing is damage control for some time by now saying, well, I don't accept money from you guys anymore. I have $38 million, so I don't want to accept money from you guys. To think about that, now he's saying he doesn't accept money. And the other thing is, instead of him saying, I accept that money to put it through charity and so on, I just don't want to accept money because, he wants to push that narrative that he's a so-called wholesome and good guy. you know what I'm saying, crap after telling men, yeah, you should be able to sex change your children. Sex change minors, that's what Penguin Zero said live on a stream with Sneeko. You know what I'm saying? And then you look at Penguin Zero's subscriber count and all that. It's the same situation as your PewDiePies, the Ninjas, the Mr. Beast, and so on. What's happened with YouTube and, the industry field, you know what I'm saying, the closet field, what's happened is they can now decide, they can decide who they want to be stars. I was watching a stream, I think by Clownfish, where they were talking about, well, you know what, Mr. Beast is going to leave YouTube and start his own studio. So is what is it? What's that guy? Game. It's not a theory. It's a game theory. He's starting his own studio. These are all guys that are extensions of the field, the industry field and the closet field. We all know Mr. Beast, from what we've seen, was clearly given all these sub counts and, over promoted, by YouTube. What YouTube was doing, and, guys like me are an example of this, and many other guys I know, what YouTube has decided is that, we can create our people. We can decide who's successful or not. You would hear all these videos by these so-called people selling, oh man, you could, here's how you control the algorithm, right? Here's how you adapt to the algorithm, but the algorithm is ever changing. In a millisecond, it's changing as they update it. So those people preaching, here's how you adapt to the algorithm, the reason they can tell you this and make these videos is they're already a part of it, man. They're getting contacted to tell people to so-called get views, man. Get your sub counts up. You know what I'm saying? Because YouTube is keeping people on a treadmill to a certain extent. And I'll explain a lot more. But what you have is, with the situation is that we've seen this since the 2010s, what they've been pushing as the version of male masculinity in actors. It's a bunch of skinny Starbucks barista built dudes. You know what I'm saying? What they call that, your Geek Squad built dudes. You know what I'm saying? Look at Dune. The lead actor in Dune was in a movie where he played a Timothy Closet Main. You know what I'm saying? That's his name. Timothy Closet Main was in a movie where he, tried to sleep with a guy or something. I mean, somebody showed me the poster. If you look him up, and they're trying to make him a superstar actor. The narrative now, since there's been a push to basically minimize the population, maintain a minimized population. You could look this with Grok. You could look this with Chat GPT, whatever chat bot you use that has access to the internet. You could talk to it and ask it, what's the minimum population requirement to keep the country running? You know what I'm saying? And it will tell you. We did this on a live stream I was filming previously, and it will tell you exactly, how many people, what I'm saying, are needed to keep the country running. That's why you look at the birth rate, and the government isn't panicking. That's why Elon Musk and Trump offered people $5,000 to start a family. That's those peasants, give those peasants $5,000 and they'll start a family, You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter, but to get back to things is this, man. YouTube, and maybe I'm in the process of leaving YouTube anyway. I gotta start my own thing. I'm building my own website. It's being built as we speak. And I'll explain why this is going to be the path anyway. But to get back on things is this, man. What's happening now with YouTube and, social media and all these platforms is that the industry has never had an easier path to build a plant. You know what I'm saying? That's really what it is, to build a plant, So they can basically give a YouTuber all these views if they want. Mr. Beast. That's right. Mr. Beast was the most popular thing ever. Memes, I mean, when rappers were making all these memes that had the whole country dancing, all these, the most popular people rapping or music, and you look up their sub counts. That, in my opinion, shows you the true sub counts is when you look at certain people, you look at certain rappers, certain entertainers, and you like, how the hell are their subs that low? You know what I mean? How can someone's subs be that low, you know, when they've you look at a guy like Super Hot Fire where for example, where his overreacting to his raps was such a massive meme, but his sub counts was not, it wasn't in the 50 million, 20 million, no. And then somehow he miraculously ended his YouTube account and started it over. You know what I'm saying? Because right now what's happening is with social media and all these platforms is they can now create and give anyone all the power they want without any facts behind it. They could give you 5 million views. They can give you 5 million subs if they want to. And they can decide which channels are, bot alerted, if there's any bots or whatever. You know what I'm saying? They can decide that. They can decide who their who their website is looking at. You know what I'm saying? And other than that, they could just give people the sub counts they want to. You look at Mr. Beast, you look at Ninja, you look at all these people, you look at what's his name, the weirdo, what's his name, who walks around like he's some type of soldier or something. Turns out he was having closeted activity. Damn, what was his name? I forget his name, whatever. But you know what I'm saying? You look at all these YouTubers where you're like, you go outside and no one knows or talks about them. These are people that are supposed to be the most popular people in the world, and no one outside talks about them or knows them. You look at your I Show Speeds, you look at Kai Cenats where, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of people will act like, oh man, you went to India and people are losing their mind. I mean, it's very hard to pay for a crowd to act a certain way in India. I mean, they're not making these Bollywood films where with a budget of damn near nothing, and you know what I mean, and getting a lot of people. What's happened is, man, and they started testing this in the 2010s, really the 2010s, because you gotta remember YouTube was sold, I don't remember when YouTube was sold, but it was sold in the 2000s. So that means Google really started owning and having complete ownership of YouTube since day one of a decade was the 2010s. And what they wanted to showcase is that we can create our stars. We can create them. We can create them. We don't, and they don't even need to have talent or, you see your PewDiePie where you're like, you're telling me a guy from Sweden who wears, Hello Kitty headphones. You know what I'm saying? That's gonna be the most popular guy ever, that for YouTube. You know what I'm saying? And that's what they've done. They've proven in the 2010s we can create artificial, artificial celebrities. We can create artificial popular people by giving them subs, and then they're already connected to all the industry. And the thing is, we don't know the contracts they've signed. The what is it? The non what is that? NDAs. Yeah, we don't know the NDAs they've signed. So they can't say certain things, do certain things, or when they will do certain things. And you gotta remember, you look at PewDiePie, what is it? He hires somebody on Fiverr to make a Nazi photo. You know what I'm saying? Come on, man. That was part of the script. They needed him out of the way so they can push their next project. You know what I'm saying? Their next project, Ninja, Mr. Beast, Kai Cenat, what is his name? All the other guys, CQC, I don't know, man. They needed them out of the way because you can see the pattern of the pattern of how they push this. You know what I'm saying? They push it. These people make it, then they do something stupid. You know, you got Logan Paul in a self self unplugging. You know what I'm saying? A pull the plug forced. You know what I'm saying? A pull the plug forced, where a lot of people are pulling the plug. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Or as I might call it, a hard, what they call that, memory, what is it, storage wipe, you know what I mean, a storage deletion forest, whatever, you know what I mean. They all do the same thing. They'll do something, and still you see Logan Paul in WWE, you see his drinks being sold in all these supermarkets and all that stuff. Then they say, you know, he was saved by collaborating with another YouTuber, what's his name, with the the forehead, with the you know what I'm saying, I forget the Megamind forehead, you know. So he was saved by the Megamind foreheaded guy, you know what I'm saying. When the truth is, man, how do they get all of these distributions? They were already there. They're all connected because YouTubes and all of them have to sell that they create legitimate superstars. You know what I'm saying? It's not just all pre-set up. It's not like, you know, you give your kid a YouTube, you let your kid watch YouTube and it just randomly pops up Kai Cenat. It randomly pops up PewDiePie and all of them. It's not like it's all controlled. It's not like they own the whole algorithm and can decide what they want your kids to see. You know what I mean? So what they've done is they've artificially created all these stars. You know, you got your Timothy Closet Main, you know what I'm saying? Timothy Charlemagne, you can look him up, you know what I'm saying, his movies, and they had him as the lead actor in Dune, an action film, and the leader is a skinny, you know, Starbucks barista, you know what I'm saying, a dude that would struggle to lift up, you know, a large coffee, you know what I'm saying, that's the lead actor in an action film, you know. But to get back to what's happening with the closet push is that what's happening with the caliber thing is that they've now deemed men are abusive, and, you know, men are basically not needed to be fathers and all that stuff. You know, that's why they've pushed the single mother narrative as a rite of passage, because the single mother narrative was all pushed to, well, if we've demonized the men and the men are no longer having direct access to the women, we need to push that being a single mother is something to be proud of and strong. So we could just push the women with all the rights we've given them over the men, you know, all the rights we've given them over the men, to basically now start pursuing the men and having children of their own accord, you know what I'm saying? And thus you create a corrupted polygamous society, which is fueled by single motherhood. Oh, man, I'm telling y'all something, dude. I've been drinking pumpkin spice. Pumpkin spice coffee, man. Fucking fire. You buy the pumpkin spice powder, and you know what I'm saying, you pour some honey in that container, bro. Some pumpkin spice. And get yourself one of these thermostats, you know what I'm saying? And that coffee stay warm, you know what I mean? Stays warm right there. But you know, like I said, man, so since they've pushed that men have no authority, they're pushing single motherhood as a way to increase the population. And when single mothers would have a child, it would lead to the government anyway, and it would not have the father around. So it would basically lead to creating a scenario where you have over 4 decades of children removed from growing up in a father authority, a male authority household. And because of the destruction of that, the historical facts were gone as well. You know what I'm saying? There's not many women right now that could say, my great granddaddy used to do this, my daddy used to do this, my father and them used to do this. It completely splinters and destroys the effect and historical aspects of the father's role. So now you have many children growing up where in their eyes it's perfectly normal. It's perfectly normal to be without a father without them understanding that, yo, there's nothing normal about that at all. There's nothing normal about you not having a father in the household, but they've stripped them of that, and they've now deemed the female perspective as the greatest perspective. So a lot of the sons are growing up from a feminine perspective of people must provide for them like the government. You must validate their existence. They're all special and all this and that. You know what I mean? That's how the government is pushed to basically breed and have children. But, the government then count on the fact that, yeah, men are gonna push away. They never counted on, they thought men, even your Chads, Tyrones, Giga Chad, Mega Tyrone, you know what I'm saying? Megarone, whatever, Mega Tyrone, whatever you want to call it, would not stop having children with the domestic women. That a Chad and a Tyrone's rite of passage would just be to go to jail for child support. You know what I'm saying? Just having women and sleeping with them would be more than enough. But what's happened with the passport bros thing, the black pill, what I've created, the full-time ghosting, men basically adapting to this, to where even the single mothers that have become so cannibalistic towards their sons, it used to be a situation where a son raised in a single mother household would pursue being a father. But now, because of how abusive and demonizing the women have been pushed to be against all sons and boys in general, a son grows up in a household where he just keeps hearing all men are garbage, all men are trash, when he's gonna grow up to be a man. You know what I'm saying? The woman, the mother, now no longer becomes an anchor of encouragement, respect and all that. And we've had that before where mothers would tell their sons they're garbage like their father and all this. But that was a single comparison, you know what I'm saying? That was, the son would hear, oh, you're gonna be garbage like your father. So the son could basically say, I won't be nothing like my father. I'll be greater, be better than my father. But when a mother's going in a household saying all men are garbage, all men are trash, you know what I'm saying? Now the son looks at the mother as a level of absolutely no support at all. A lot of the women are cannibalizing their sons and basically pushing their sons to be future single men or men that do not date domestically. You know what I'm saying? But to get back with YouTube and the closet push, is that what's happened is they now can create all of their stars. So you got channels like mine, you look at Smash TV, where I think they either deleted all his videos or he had to hide them all or something. You look at some content creators where they've completely stopped them. You know what I'm saying? Because YouTube is all about creating the artificial superstar with no talent. You don't need talent anymore. Look at Mr. Beast. He just looks at the camera. I'm Mr. Beast. Today we're going to have 550 people play a game of tug of war for 250 pounds. Oh man, shit, fucking spit, man. My bad, bro. My bad. Oh man, I might have to edit that out. My bad. Yeah, but they got Mr. Beast now, who's literally shown that men's lives don't matter at all. Mr. Beast is doing videos where, what is he, man? He did a video where he put a fireman, you know what I'm saying? He did a fireman challenge where you're going to be in a burning building. Whoever could last the longest, you know what I'm saying? You'll get money. It's a way of Mr. Beast proving nothing is above the industry field. Nothing's above them. Even though men have died in 9/11 in a burning building saving lives, firemen die every day. None of that matters because those are men, right? Those are men. Who cares? You know what I'm saying? Mr. Beast, go host a challenge where you put people in a burning building and whoever could stay there the longest will win money, even though you're risking, and it might be fake. There's a videos online where Mr. Beast has been proven to be faking his contest anyway. You know what I'm saying? But in abuse or whatever, we know the future, what he did with Chris. I miss my friend Chris. Oh, Chris, I miss you. Oh my God, I miss Chris. I know Chris was talking to minors, but Mr. Beast miss Chris. You know what I'm saying? So, and they all follow that. You know what I'm saying? And they all follow the same path. They're all gonna get in some type of weird trouble. That's why you saw Mr. Beast with Chris, PewDiePie with paying a guy to, on Fiverr to show the Nazi symbol. What is it, Ninja? I don't know what the hell Ninja did besides falling off. And Ninja somehow, think about it, somehow Ninja live streamed with Drake. I mean, no way Drake's people, you know what I'm saying, Drake's agents in the industry works for UMG, which owns VH1, and the list goes on. No way they're all connected and they just put Drake on there to add more value to Ninja. No way. Drake just does things on his own. He doesn't have people telling him what he can and can't do. He watches all these streams and just hops on. There's no way there's marketing. There was no way an album was coming out. No way. What is he now on CQC, whoever the hell that guy is, But the way it works is that, like I said, YouTube now with television dying, and YouTube has not actually been about content creation, content creators being what's that word? Self-sufficient content creators. No. YouTube, with Google owning it, basically what's happened is Google has been all about how do we get free labor. Before I get to that on YouTube wanting free labor, but like I was saying, to get back on the content, whatever, Mr. Beast and all of them, what's happened is with television falling out, with television absolutely dead, you know what I'm saying, with television basically dying, what YouTube is doing is it's getting some of these networks, it's prepping these networks up so YouTube can finally be the replacement for television. That's why you saw this issue with Disney and YouTube. You know what I'm saying? YouTube is now aware it's more watched than television. YouTube has more watchers than television. So what's happening now with YouTube is replacing all these content creators, because YouTube was never about a content creator, at least I think before Google bought it. Because I think before Google bought it, if you hit a certain view count, you were going to get paid anyway. They were going to pay you some of the money from the view counts. But when Google bought YouTube, Google started putting all this sub count requirements, basically all this push, or you need 4,000. I was monetized by YouTube until they declared me a threat and a danger. You know what I'm saying? I've shared that before. They put me as a threat and a danger, even though I have not threatened or called to hurt anyone, But I'm heterosexual. Warning. This is a heterosexual male channel. Warning. You know what I'm saying? But we know what it is. You're a heterosexual male who's aware of what's going on. You know what I'm saying? So what's happening is YouTube was never about making content creators self-sufficient. And how I could tell you this is the scam that YouTube has going on is that they want you to get burned out. I had over 8,000 watch hours on my channel. You know what I'm saying? I've had a lot of, if you look at, before they deleted over 150 of my videos, I was having the most amount of videos for my timestamp of, putting out content, I think 2019 till now consistently, you know what I'm saying? So I was going at a rapid pace. And even though YouTube was minimizing and removing people from subscribing to me, the watch hours were long. People would watch these streams for a long time. And What happened is I had the watch hours. I was monetized by YouTube, you know what I'm saying? But YouTube saw what I was becoming and telling the future, telling what's going on, being able to read what's going on, through the lens of when I used to put out black pill content through the lens of the black pill, where you would say, yo, the black pill is void of emotion, you know what I'm saying, where it's all mathematical. So you don't look to get offended, you just look at the math and ask, how are they going to benefit from this? Then I started making, full-time ghosting content where I tell you must have zero attachments, you know what I'm saying, to find the truth. And I was telling people what's going on, and my predictions are coming absolutely true, But what's happened is YouTube was never about self-sufficiency. YouTube is all about making you, the content creator, a free laborist, a free labor. Yeah, you see, the bait is to allow you start a YouTube account, you can upload content. You know what I'm saying? You can upload content, make videos and all that stuff. That's what they want you to feel. Then they want you to basically, what is YouTube's new setting? You need to get 500 subscribers. You need to get 4,000 watch hours for regular videos. Then you need 1 million views on shorts so YouTube can eventually start paying you off of the ads they AdSense they make, which is all a scam. And check this out, man, and how it can be proven correct. And you could look at this yourself. So Epic Games, Unreal Engine creator, Epic Games sued Google, and they sued Apple for not allowing them to place payments plans on Fortnite. That's why Fortnite was removed from mobile gaming, because they didn't want Fortnite to process payments on their own. They wanted Fortnite to only process payments through their payment processors so they can get a cut, so they can monopolize it. You know what I'm saying? Basically making them the only way to access payment. And mark my words, this is going to happen to YouTube. YouTube is next for this lawsuit. You know what I'm saying? Because the problem YouTube has, and how you could tell the monetization is actually, I forget the word right now. My mind is, the monetization is actually set up in a way where it's forcing you, it's anti-competitive, and it's actually anti-consumer practices, what YouTube is doing when it comes to paying people out. So you're telling me on YouTube, you can basically set up Google Pay. You could set up Google Pay, where you pay super chats through Google Pay. You could pay with PayPal. You could give super chats away. You can pay YouTube for YouTube Premium, but you can't set up a payment account day one on YouTube so you could receive super chats, so you can receive donations or whatever from day one. You know what I'm saying? From day one. So you're telling me day one I can pay YouTube. I can super chat people, but day one I can't set up my bank account. I can't set up a PayPal. I can't set up ways to process payments from the public that wants to support me. You know what I'm saying? YouTube and all these platform sites, Facebook, Rumble, all of them, a major lawsuit is coming. The lawsuit is how it's an anti-consumer practice, what they're doing, where you can pay them, you know what I'm saying? They will process payments from your money, but you can't process payments from consumers, people watching your channel from day one, So that's coming to YouTube soon. It's only a matter of time before that lawsuit happens. And now that Epic Games won that lawsuit, Epic Games won from Apple, anti-consumer, antitrust or anti-competition, whatever They call it, it's coming to YouTube. YouTube is going to see this lawsuit as well, where eventually people making content will say, how come I can pay out super chats, I can send money to YouTube, I can pay for YouTube Premium, but I can't receive money or set up a way people can pay me? And so how come my super chats, I have to go through this whole process of getting, you know what I'm saying, 4,000 watch hours, 500 subscribers, 1 million short views. How come I got to go through that to be able to get paid? But YouTube, you could get paid day one. You can process payments day one to get YouTube Premium. You could process day one. I don't need subscriber counts to pay people. How come I don't need subscriber counts and to be monetized so I can pay other channels with super chats and so on? So that's coming for YouTube, man. A major lawsuit is coming for all of these, social media platforms. You know what I'm saying? Where you should be paid day one. You know what I'm saying? You just set up your bank account, set up a way to process payments day one. Because here's the thing about content creation, we can all create our own websites and upload our own content. You know what I'm saying? But what YouTube and all these social media platforms have done is they've monopolized the payment processing on their sites where, yes, you could pay them day one, but you won't get paid. So that's coming. That's coming where YouTube will have to answer for this in court. They're going to have to answer for this to pay people and allow people to process payments. Now, let's get back to the closet, the closet field, the closet industry. You know what I'm saying? What's going on? What's going on is that since YouTube with, your PewDiePies, your Mr. Beast and Kai Cenats and I Show Speeds, all the people they can artificially give views to, promote, and, somehow all these big industry names just collaborate with Kai Cenats and I Show Speeds and what's that other guy? I forget his name. He's a live streamer, some white dude or something. I forget his name. I think he interviewed Drake or something. You know what I mean? I forget his name. I forget what's going on. You know what I mean? But there's a lot of them. Getting their views and all that. But what's happened is now YouTube is starting to get the TV deals, trying to get all the TV stations, all of them on its network. What it's doing is it's pushing out people. And now I used to think that, this was strictly YouTube, man. No, Google also is pushing out people because they don't need you anymore. They don't need anyone on their site anymore. They don't need the American voice. I mean, they never needed the American voice. Look who they had dominating YouTube all these years was PewDiePie, right? And if you look up Sweden, isn't Sweden one of the most, super sane leftist, countries, whatever? So they were showing they don't need Americans, man. They don't want Americans to succeed on this network because you just look at PewDiePie's sub count and you could already tell it's rigged. You know what I'm saying? They're telling me the most popular guy's gonna be bro fist. You know what I'm saying? A tall, lanky guy who just sounds a little off and weird, who wears Hello Kitty headphones. You know what I'm saying? That's gonna be the most popular guy in America. You know what I'm saying? More popular than the athletes, more popular than all this and that. So YouTube has been pushing and, suppressing, American content creators for quite some time with the success of your PewDiePies and all of them. You know what I mean? You could tell where YouTube was going. Then, they don't care. And now what's the new big guy that Kick signed, whatever, when they started? I forget his name, CQC, whatever the hell his name is. You know what I'm saying? Where they sign NDAs on these contracts. They got paid 18 million, yeah. And how much of that 18 million isn't just the budget of how they're going to be pushing these people. But to get to the point is that YouTube has decided it can artificially create talent. It can artificially give people sub counts and followers and all that. And even I think if you look at, I don't know if I've seen iShowSpeed's sub count, on YouTube or, but I don't think it's more than PewDiePie, right? I don't think it's more than Mr. Beast or nothing, even though you have the so-called kids and you got people using them as clips and all that, but you don't see that. I don't think he's more followed than PewDiePie, who's just a guy from Sweden. You know what I'm saying? But the closet is beloved, and I think the left in the closet is heavy. I don't know. Some of the homies from Sweden could let me know. But yeah, they pushed PewDiePie. They artificially created him, so they've proven they can do whatever they want. You know what I'm saying? And they're all connected, like the homie Kalala said. The industry field, YouTube is connected to distributors and, ad agencies and all that. So whoever they give the green light and say, hey, man, put iShowSpeed on WWE, he's on WWE. Put Logan Paul on WWE, even though he should never be on there after going on that forced. You know what I'm saying? But put them. They're all connected, man, the industry. And what's happening is that Google, now to get to the point, Google actually wants people off of YouTube. Google, why you think you keep seeing a lot of YouTubers saying, I'm quitting, I'm leaving? You know what I'm saying? Google, for Google search purposes, Google wants a lot more people off of YouTube to create their own websites so Google can get more search results and more money from search results. You know what I'm saying? Google wants that, man. So they want a lot of people out. And like I was saying with social media and all these platforms, YouTube and all of them, they're all connected, man. They're all intertwined. I mean, you just got to look at follow the money processing. You download Facebook on Google Play Store and so on. They're all intertwined and they're all connected. And what's happened is Google in the 2010s proved that, we don't need them to have talent. We don't need them to be able to do anything. We just need them to stream, make some videos. We'll throw views. We'll bot them. We'll do whatever. We'll let it go on, until we're ready to replace them. You know what I'm saying? For the next artificial star, because what the content creator means, the streamer, and why they're more valuable to these, YouTubes and all of them, unlike the actors where I tell people, try to name an actor that made it in the 2010s, exclusively in the 2010s. Name 10 actors. Try it. You're going to struggle. Name 10 actors that became stars in the 2010s. You're going to struggle. The reason the content creator, the streamer, the influencer is worth so much is that, it's not about their talent. It's about them just uploading and making content. So unlike a Hollywood star, where the Hollywood star must always have a great movie, must always be busy filming and traveling, you know what I'm saying? They're not always available. The content creator is always available. The streamer is always available. You know what I'm saying? It's the perfect artificial way to manipulate the public with a so-called star, so-called influencer and celebrity. They don't need to do nothing. I mean, look at Kim Kardashian, another example, a pre-example before the internet. Kim Kardashian did nothing but sit on her back and let a dude tap it online multiple times. And then they pushed her. She got no talent. They could basically have her sit down with anybody. She's free. She doesn't do nothing. She doesn't have any talent. She doesn't have any talent, which makes her perfect. Because you can have her go anywhere. And if you look up her history, boom, she was with an NBA star. They could fuel that, put that, get some internet views with that. They put her with athletes. They put her family with rappers. None of them had any talent because that makes them a lot more useful to place them anywhere because they have no talent. Since they don't have any talent, there's no way to challenge them, challenge their talent, or say, oh, they fell off because they're not acting anymore. There's no fall off when your whole career is built on being talentless and being able to be placed anywhere they want you to go now. You know what I'm saying? So what's happened with YouTube and all this stuff is that, man, it's 100% gate kept. It's 100% Google, and like I'm saying, a lawsuit is coming, a big lawsuit, man. Some of you guys, you know what I mean? I think I'm gonna be getting some money from that lawsuit. I already got some money from the Google Play Store when there was a lawsuit in Google. I think I had to pay us all out like $200, but I think every content creator that was monetized is gonna be getting a lawsuit check very soon from the fact that YouTube suppressed, deleted subscribers and so on. You know, there's some YouTube engineers. Some of the homies told me they were contacted by YouTube engineers that said, "Hey, you want views? You just pay me this amount of money, and I'll get you some subs. I'll get you some views." You know, just like when X, Twitter, people were buying check marks. They were buying blue check marks or being given blue check marks. You know what I'm saying? So this is what's happening on YouTube. Some people are buying these views, But to get things back in order, is that, like I said, Google is pushing people out, such as myself and many people. They're pushing us out because for Google would make more money, especially now with AI, to be able to scrape your own channel, your own website. You know what I'm saying? Google is pushing people out, and they're having all these so-called YouTubers that, it's not a theory, it's a game theory. You know what I'm saying? They got all these guys they've been botting, giving views to. Now they have them so-called quitting YouTube. They're starting their own entertainment companies and all that stuff. You know what I mean? They're starting it all as though, they got NDAs signed. So we all know those NDAs mean that, yeah, they've already had industry deals in the background. Because right now, the biggest way they're creating brands is, I described this on a stream before, but it's a false underdog story. You know what I'm saying? It's the false unknown. Like if you go back to go through Mr. Beast's channel, you go back over 7 years or something, you see he used to, "Hey guys, I'm giving money away for you," and Mr. Beast was doing videos where, "Look, PewDiePie knows how to master the algorithm," as in he was most likely getting paid to push the narrative that you can master the algorithm. There's no way YouTube decides who's going to be seen or who's going to be watched. Right? Right. You know what I'm saying? Oh, damn. Let me fix this piece of garbage. No way YouTube decides who's going to be watched, who's getting these views. You know what I'm saying? But, you had Mr. Beast earlier on pushing the algorithm, and all these YouTubers telling you, here's how you get views and all that. Even if you're not talented, no one wants to hear you talk. Anybody can talk. Anybody can upload and say things, whatever. That's another reason, like I said, YouTube had a problem with guys like me. You know what I'm saying? Is that we could just make content without reacting. The world is our content. You know what I'm saying? I could literally make a live stream for 10 hours talking about talking about the fear of manhood. You know what I'm saying? I could do something on technology. Could do something on rap and music. I don't need things to happen to make content. You know what I'm saying? So they don't want that. They don't want that level of organic. They don't want the public to have a choice on who they make a star. That's why they built this whole platform, so they can create another Mr. Beast. They can create another Logan Paul. It don't matter how many scams or legal issues Logan Paul is in. He's an industry. He's an industry plant, and he has the backing of the industry field. So he can do whatever the hell he wants. You know what I'm saying? Within reason. Scam children. It don't matter. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter, because he's part of the industry. You know what I'm saying? He's an industry plant who collabs with other plants to make an industry garden and on the industry field. You know what I'm saying? It's all a part of that one setup. But like I said, YouTube, Google, which owns YouTube, Google wants a lot of content creators out of here because Google at first thought, you know what, man, we get YouTube profitable, we got to make some money. But, content in the 2010s was straight garbage, you know what I'm saying? And YouTube's, Susan, you know what I'm saying, who's dead now, Susan was all super pro-left, you know what I'm saying, super duper leftist, you know what I mean? And then the current people running YouTube are part of their caste. They're people that grew up in a caste system, you know what I'm saying? So they'll just follow orders anyway, you know what I mean? Well, what's greater than a leftist is a caste person, a person who grew up in a caste system, of course. But what happened is Google realized, man, and check this out. This is another future. Hold the truth hostage. Hold the prophecy hostage. I'm gonna drop you some more prophetic examples here. Is that Google was sued? I think the government made Google create Chromium. It's a way so other people can basically make their own search engines, right? You know what I'm saying? Chromium. But I think what's coming and should have been happened is YouTube, the platform, YouTube needs to actually allow others to have a platform similar to YouTube. Like they have the Chrome browser, Chromium. There should be a YouTubium or something where you have a certain asset where you could easily create your own YouTube clone. And there are some of those online, you know what I'm saying? There are some of those online where you could create your own YouTube clone, but I think the government might get involved with a lot of these apps and websites where the government will tell YouTube, or a lawsuit that's coming where YouTube will be forced to actually outsource, create some type of open source platform version of their platform so others can basically make their own YouTube. You know what I'm saying? I think that's coming. I think that's coming along with some lawsuits. But like I was saying, Google wants you off of YouTube so they can have more websites so people can search, because a lot of people aren't making websites anymore. You know what I'm saying? And YouTube was pushing this, you know what I'm saying? YouTube was pushing this a lot, but now YouTube has realized, especially with how they can bot up and fake up their views. And I predicted this. You see the hype button. The hype button happened, you know what I'm saying? But I predicted this, that they're gonna have to create some type of way people can think they can decide what's hot on YouTube. The top 100. So they're gonna let you hype things up. But here's the funny thing about the hype button is that you can give people a random amount of points, and some people you can't even hype up their content. You know what I'm saying? So it's completely random. And then you're limited to what? You're limited to only being able to hype people 3 times a week versus 3 times a day. It's to create a false sense that things can actually be organic on YouTube. You can actually create organic stuff. And I was talking about this, predicted this would happen damn near maybe potentially over a year ago or something like that. That they would start some type of hype thing. And I'm launching a website anyway very soon, my own. But the thing is, YouTube wants you to return to making websites so they can make some money, because if so many views on Mr. Beast and all these other channels are botted and faked, and now a lot of AdSense ad providers are auditing or asking for proof, or I'm building a website. I know how YouTube is setting up this scam, fake views, how they allow it anyway, how they've chosen to allow it for quite some time, but a lot of AdSense and ad providers are literally now they're literally I think they're auditing YouTube, where they're like, show us where all these views come from, you know, show us these views, show us these sales and this and that. So I think what's going on with Google realized, man, there's a lot of bots and a lot of fake views we have on YouTube. We won't be able to make some money, or you know what I mean? We won't be able to profit. Oh man, we won't be able to profit as much on YouTube when so many of the views on YouTube are actually artificial. You know what I'm saying? They're artificial and fake to begin with. So we need people to make their own websites so they can pay us to advertise on YouTube or the search engine. You know what I'm saying? We're losing out on money if everyone joins YouTube. When YouTube, we're faking a lot of views anyway. We're faking a lot of watches. We're letting a lot of people from other countries, Chinese view farms, India view farms, Middle Eastern view farms, and all this and that. We're letting a lot of people. They've even shown it where, what's that bum ass rapper? What the hell is his name? I forgot his name. God damn it, I forgot his name, whatever. But, he botted his way to the top, you know what I'm saying? So what's happening is YouTube is realizing, yeah, man, they need people to make websites again so they can profit, because they're not making a lot of money. They're not gonna, even though they're making some money on YouTube a lot, but they're not gonna able to maximize and make all this money when they have so many bots on YouTube anyway. So many people they're giving views to anyway, you know what I'm saying? So a lot of it is being faked anyway. So how they gonna make money, when all the stuff, all the attention is faked? It's like when Elon bought, what is it? Elon just showed on X. Now he shows where people are from to show, and it most like it's pressure from, it's when he got botted, when he saw the bots, when he bought Twitter and then realized there was mad bots. So now he's showing you every country, every person who's running accounts and all that. There's a lot of fake accounts pretending to be blacks from India, from China, Japan, whatever it is. There's a lot of fake conservative accounts from other countries. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot going on. So what Google wants you to make your own website again, so Google can make some money. You know what I'm saying? So, Google can make some money. So what's going on? God damn it. Oh man, my back. Yeah, what's going on is with Google knowing this, Google wants you to go make your own website. Google wants the return of people making their own websites again. You know what I'm saying? So Google can get some money from that, even though you can still bot people to your own website, but at least if you bot people to your own website, YouTube and Google aren't involved. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, man, to get back a little before I finish this, is that what's happening, and I've predicted it with the closet, is happening, is you got this guy, things called Caliver or something, a guy who wears makeup, a guy who describes he goes to gyms just to watch sweaty men. You know what I'm saying? The closet, and they're pushing him to the moon. I think they connected him to some other streamer or whatever. He's pushing that men should get bone lengthening surgery, which might leave you crippled, or it might even get your legs amputated. He's pushing that he's gonna get some type of $30,000, metal infused thing on his cheeks or whatever, his chin, cheeks, and all that. Which he most likely, like I said, man, he's part of the closet field. You know what I'm saying? He's a closet plant. They plant because now they've deemed males, basically they've deemed the heterosexual male. We've seen it all the 2010s with Me Too, and the fact that all these big corporations actually went with the narrative that women aren't paid the same, even though all these corporations have you sign signatures where they say, you know what, there is no discrimination and everybody's getting paid the same. You know what I mean? So what they've done is they don't have use for straight men. So what they're pushing, and I told guys this probably over 3 years ago, about the worth, the value of the one-time consumer. You know what I'm saying? One-time consumer is that they're pushing men towards activities, so-called heterosexual men. They're pushing these men towards, the closet, towards, guys that are doing looks theory, which is, like I said, in Black Pill, there was a lot of, you know what I'm saying, what they call that word again. I just forgot the word. Damn, it ain't invasion. Forget the word, but there was a lot of guys that came into the Black Pill that were dark gray pilled, that were basically they weren't black pilled, and the reason I came up with the terminology, the gray pill and the dark gray pill, is that the black pill is orbited, just like the red pill is orbited by the purple pillars, the yellow pill, and so on. The black pill is orbited by gray pillars. Gray pillars basically can't accept the black pill, like I was saying. They can't accept it in whole, but they still live their lives. You know what I'm saying? They try to basically utilize the black pill in a way to adjust their life and give them some level of success, whatever. Then you got the dark gray pillars, are the guys pushing guys to get plastic surgery, pushing guys to get, now I remember the word, infiltration. There's a lot of the dark gray pillars pushing guys to get plastic surgery, bone lengthening, and there's a lot of closeted activity as well, where you look at looks theory and some aspects of look maxing. There's a difference where a guy's telling you, here's how you look your best, work within certain contours of your hairline or certain things. You know what I'm saying? Try to look your best. There's a difference between that versus telling men what we had with, I was a part of it where I had Fiverr. I made a live stream when I made Closet Conspiracy, where I was talking about how your wheat waffles, and there are men like your CBPs and these weirdos that were having men and minors send them photos so they could tell them if they're attractive. You know what I'm saying? You had grown men in the space telling other men to send them photos, and they can't confirm their age, if they were minors or not, to tell them if they're attractive, because the narrative was, if you're attractive to a man, you're going to be attractive to a woman, which is, the closet is real, man. And now what they're doing with your calibers and, there are guys now pushing looks maxing, where they're telling you to hit your chin with a bottle. Some of it's comedic and outright stupid, you know what I'm saying? But they know the straight male's value in this minimum population society, the minimum population theory, you know what I'm saying? So they now want the consumer, they want the one-time consumer, as in, if it fails, you know what I'm saying, you taking that necktie, you know what I'm saying? You're getting a necktie, you know what I'm saying? You're gonna delete your channel, you know what I'm saying? You're gonna delete your channel, whatever. You're gonna delete your profile, you know what I'm saying? You're gonna delete your profile, You know what I'm saying? So that's the hope of this stuff. They're pushing a lot of straight men, heterosexual men that have been effeminized towards activity such as bone lengthening and so on, that isn't gonna maintain marriage, maintain relationships, since you have no authority as a man anyway. It's not gonna maintain or keep anything anyway. Because like I said, we got Jay Cutler, we got Tom Brady, we have all the evidence of all these so-called chads, all these so-called guys that were awarded sexiest man on earth and they were divorced. You know what I'm saying? The men have no authority. You know what I'm saying? The men have no authority, so they're allowed to experience a stable relationship so long as that woman allows them to, and so long as her emotions are locked on playing, wife. Once those emotions are gone, you see what's going on with Aisha Curry and all that BS. She's basically somewhat suggesting that Steph Curry forced her to have children. You know what I'm saying? And we know what forced implies. You know what I mean? But the thing is, what's happening is also they're pushing a lot of, some heterosexual males towards the closet. That's why you have Caliver. And I watched videos where other guys reacted to him where they said, oh, this is strange. They won't say this is closeted, this is Rainbow Rider territory, because why would a man be wearing makeup? Why would a man be wearing makeup to be attractive to women? And a lot of these guys doing the looks maxing and doing all this type of content, a lot of them are doing it so other men can look at them and tell them they're look maxing, they're mogging, they're handsome and all. A lot of it is about, a lot of closeted activity to get attention from other men. You know what I'm saying? So now they're pushing it because, they don't really, they've done their damage in the 2010s. 2010s was all about burying the heterosexual male, burying him alive. 2020s is now walking over the heterosexual male's corpse. You know what I'm saying? Grave, whatever you want to call it. So they're pushing this, and they're not gonna delete that Caliver's account. It ain't like me. You know what I'm saying? It ain't like other guys making content where they'll delete your channel, delete your content like YouTube did to me. I was literally about to come off of a warning they had on my account for over 2 years. The warning was about to come off on December, and they strike a video called Chad's Ranch Dressing. And when I tried to appeal it, they didn't even allow me to type why I want it appealed. They just strike the channel. And YouTube's been cleaning house anyway. You know what I'm saying? YouTube wants a lot of people out because YouTube is overconfident. You know what I'm saying? YouTube now believes it's, it's the top. It's having television channels and all these TV shows come to it when no one's watching television or TV shows anymore. YouTube thinks, well, we're going to get the content on YouTube, and now all these kids will watch television shows on YouTube that grew up not watching television. Especially Gen Alpha and the youngest of the Zoomers, you know what I'm saying? And they're going to find out with Gen Alpha. Gen Alpha is about to reach 18 years old by 2028. They're the next generation growing up where they grew up without watching any TV. They grew up just watching YouTube streamers. They didn't grow up with no family tradition, family TV and all this and crap, sitcoms. They didn't grow up with none of that. So YouTube thinks they're going to get all these TV networks, and then they're going to get people to watch their, their site. But the truth is, man, the next generation that's coming, Gen Alpha, you know what I'm saying? None of that's going to matter. A generation that's raised on family doesn't matter. Fathers don't matter. Tradition doesn't matter. Nothing stable matters. Gen Alpha is going to truly be a generational revolution. And Gen Z as well, the younger Gen Z, which grew up in the 2010s, grew up in the Me Too eras and all that stuff, the anti-male propaganda. We're about to see a collision between the older brothers, Gen Z, and the younger brothers, Gen Alpha, so we're about to see it. I'm a millennial, what I'm saying? There's certain things and wisdom I'll pass on and share, but we're about to see that. And like I said, man, with this video, I couldn't live stream whatever, but what's happening is very simple, man. YouTube's kicking a lot of people out, and a major lawsuit is coming YouTube's way very soon. Very soon, the lawsuit is coming because YouTube is not only deleting, suppressing people's views. This is why YouTube also came out with Biden made us suppress people's content. YouTube said Biden made them suppress people's content for goodwill, to basically get the victim narrative. A company owned by Alphabet, a company worth, what is it? Google's worth trillions. But, and then right after saying Biden made them suppress people, now they're deleting and removing channels. You know what I'm saying? Because YouTube is clearing the way to have their website an absolute corporate controlled. You know what I mean? I call it what I'm saying, corporate controlled culture allowed. CCA. It's CCCA. Corporate controlled culture allowance. And you're gonna see, the religious version, culture allowance, well, whatever, government culture, you're gonna see it. That's what YouTube's gonna become, man. YouTube's goal is to become the BBC, you know what I'm saying, British Broadcast Corporation, where YouTube will limit everything. YouTube is now calling YouTubers, listen how stupid this is. You're violent for playing Call of Duty and live streaming it, you know what I'm saying, and playing all these games with shootings and all that, but YouTube isn't violent for running advertisements for these games, It's the whatever, it's basically, if you can't pay them, what's happening in YouTube is pay to win. If you can't pay them or afford their price for what what you want to do, you can't do it. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of this is happening, and I think a lot of people are going to see a mass migration out of YouTube, like never before. Some of it's happening already. I think you got Curiosity. You got some guys making channels, but I think we're heading back to the 2000s where everyone had their own website. You know what I'm saying? Everything's gone. A lot of people are leaving us. What is it? People are leaving, what the hell they call that thing? Spotify. The public is now gonna go back with AI. That's another thing with AI, is that they want you to use their AIs to build your own websites and all that stuff. So we're going to see the second coming, or a greater golden age, when it comes to people making their websites. We're going to see that PIF type websites come back. Everyone's going to build their own websites, because with Google and all of them, you can't be trusting none of them at all. It's all about who they want to build up next. Who's their next PewDiePie? Who's their next Kai Cenat? Who's their next I Show Speed? Who's their next, Aiden Ross? Now I remember Aiden Ross. Who's their next this and that? And a lot of people that think YouTube's their platform, they're stupid. You don't have a platform on there. I think what's gonna happen is YouTube will become, maybe, because I ran a little short 8-second video that's a joke, and YouTube basically blocked and deleted the content. I think what's coming is gonna be a mass migration out of YouTube, and a lot of people will start their own websites. And now you could basically project your screen on your TV anyway. If you use a TV, a lot of people just start creating their own websites, and YouTube might be for advertisement. It might be, because I uploaded a video called Chad's Ranch Dressing, a little joke, and they strike my channel, you know? So how are you gonna use YouTube for advertisement when YouTube will strike your channel? I think what's gonna happen is people will make their accounts on YouTube to either watch it, you know what I'm saying, and they're gonna have their own websites, or people start en masse abandoning YouTube. But you know, this has been hold the truth hostage, man. Where if the truth was so important, we wouldn't negotiate with lies, would hold the truth hostage. Full-time ghosting isn't an option. It's the only choice. Full-time ghost. And you know, this might be a last video on YouTube for quite some while, as I'm building my own website and trying to figure something out. You know what I'm saying? Figure something out, because man, you can't use YouTube no more. You know what I mean? YouTube is now, if you're not a part of their industry field plans, their closet field plans, you know what I mean? You have no future on here, bro. You know, so YouTube, I think by 2026, especially with AI and what's going on in Gen Alpha and you know, the younger Gen Zs that's coming, you're gonna see a scenario where they start using AI to build their own websites, their own hangouts, and we're going to see an explosion like never before of people building their own websites. And like I said, a lawsuit is coming for YouTube very soon, a big lawsuit where they're going to have to pay out a lot. They're going to have to pay out many that have been monetized, because a major lawsuit is coming. You know what I'm saying? Because YouTube's suppression and limitations is gonna backfire on them, because of the fact that you can't, like I said, the way YouTube's designed, you can start your account, you can pay YouTube, you can use Google Pay. You know what I'm saying? You could pay people, you could super chat, but when you start your own account, you can't link ways for people to pay you without YouTube deeming you, you know, monetizable. So it's coming. A major lawsuit is coming for YouTube, man. But other than that, just been hold the truth hostage, man. Oh, man, YouTube. Be prepared, YouTube. The Great Migration is coming. Just wait until you hear a new website blows up by some Zoomers, you know. New website blows up by some Gen Alpha or millennials such as myself and Gen Xers. Things, yo, the internet is coming back. You know what I'm saying? Because the real world is coming back. YouTube's gonna learn a hard lesson, which they won't learn anyway, but they're gonna have to pay up very soon, man. A major lawsuit is coming. You know what I mean? And we'll see it happen very soon. But you know, peace out, man.